And we are live. Hello, everyone. This is My Two Cents. Welcome back to my channel. Happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And this week, we're going to talk again about economics, specifically about the economics of our illustrious new president, Joe Biden, and the soon-to-be president, Kamala Harris. Now, this was a couple weeks ago, but I just read an article about it that was published today. And when I saw it, I thought this is absolutely something worth discussing. On January 25th, 2021, Joe Biden issued an executive order, which he titled Executive Order on Ensuring the Future is Made in All of America by All of American Workers. Section 1. It is the policy of my administration that the United States government should, consistent with applicable law, use terms and conditions of federal financial assistance awards and federal procurements to maximize the use of goods, products, and materials produced in and services offered in the United States. The United States government should, whenever possible, procure goods, products, materials, and services from sources that will help American business compete in the strategic industries and help America's workers thrive. You know, funny, I remember when Donald Trump gave his inaugural speech back in January of 2017, he talked about how important it is that we put America first and it is the sovereign responsibility of every nation to put its own interests before the interests of other nations. And at that time, the Democrats and Joe Biden and all his ilk said Donald Trump is a vile, evil, vicious racist for even suggesting that we should put America and American interests before anything else. Well, now Joe Biden's in office, and lo and behold, what's he doing but putting out an executive order that sounds eerily like what Donald Trump said there. And in fact, when we get down to point B here, he says, quote, made in American laws means all statutes, regulations, rules, and executive orders relating to federal financial assistance awards or federal procurement, including those that refer to Buy America or Buy American. Now, this is something I actually talked about back when Donald Trump was touting when Donald Trump was touting how much he loved using tariffs to boost American business and bring production back to America as opposed to overseas. The funny thing being, as much as the left hates Donald Trump, as much as Joe Biden ripped on Donald Trump for being the worst president that's ever held office in American history, he is now advocating policies eerily similar to Donald Trump, that whole made in America laws. Buy American, that sounds very much like Make America Great Again. However, the problem is the policy, economically speaking, can only hurt Americans, not help them. If you want to go back and through my video archive, look at the video I made about Donald Trump's tariffs and why tariffs cannot help American business. The same thing applies here. This is just a little basic economics. But again, the only way to improve economic conditions for a nation as a whole is to lower the cost of production for American businesses. Let me say that again. The only way to improve economic conditions for Americans as a whole is to lower the cost of production for American businesses. When businesses produce goods and services, they have to sell those goods and services at prices higher than it costs to produce them. Otherwise, they're no better off than they were before. So however much it costs to procure the materials, to pay their laborers, to purchase and maintain their machinery, they have to sell their goods and services such that their total sales exceeds the amount they spent producing those goods and services, or else they are no better off and their business isn't going to stay open. So when a business is considering, should I buy my materials from an American producer or from a foreign producer, if foreign producers are able to produce those materials cheaper than American ones, principles of sound business management would dictate we purchase them from the cheaper producer, therefore we can sell our product for a cheaper price. More Americans will be able to buy it, and because of they can spend less of their money on that good or service. The remaining money they can spend on other goods and services, which means that industries as a whole will flourish, and only those businesses that can provide the highest quality service at the lowest possible price will thrive. Well, of course, then you throw in tariffs or Buy American laws or whatever you're going to do. The federal government steps in and says, no, we need to help American businesses by passing laws that force you to do business here in America. And they don't necessarily force, but one way or another, what these laws end up doing, like tariffs or any others, is raise the cost of foreign produced goods and services such that even though you are actually spending more money than you were before, it's now cheaper to buy in America. Well, because they've artificially raised the prices of foreign goods, yeah, it's now cheaper to buy in America, but it's also more than you were paying before, which means that when American businesses have to buy their whatever it is that they need to produce their goods and services from an American business at a higher price, they now have to raise the cost of their goods and services in order to continue making a profit. When they raise the cost of their goods and services, the Americans who are purchasing those goods and services either have to decide if they can do without that good or service, or they have to stop buying some other goods and service to now pay the increased cost to get what they used to have cheaper. When you do this, economic output as a whole goes down. The average American buyer, his money now purchases less because he's forced to pay more for American goods and services, which means that he can buy less, and everyone, and as a whole, American economic output goes down. When Joe Biden or Donald Trump or whoever it is passes these made in American laws saying you have to buy it, we're going to support American businesses, we're going to prop up American businesses, what they are actually doing is propping up certain businesses or certain industries at the expense of other ones. And isn't it funny how when you look at it closely, the businesses that tend to get propped up are the large corporations owned by the dangerous billionaires that they love to rag on so much, and the businesses that end up shutting down are the small businesses owned by low-income ethnic minorities that the politicians are supposedly so fond of standing up for and helping the little guy. And I point this out also because remember, this is President Joe Biden passing this executive order. The president who said and whose followers said that Donald Trump passing these kinds of laws was a fundamental, vicious, evil, vile racist. It's just yet another demonstration that it doesn't matter who controls Congress or who controls the White House, Democrats or Republicans. Two things always happen. Government spending increases, and the government grows in the size and scope of its authority. So and on that note, let's look at a little bit more of what is said in this executive order. So Section 4 here, updating and centralizing the Made in America. Actually, no, that's not the one I was looking for. Give me just a second here. Okay, yeah, here we go. So updating and centralizing the Made in America waiver process, the Director of the Office of Management and Budget shall establish within the Office of Management and Budget the Made in America Office, or MAO. The Made in America Office shall be headed by a director of the Made in America Office, who shall be appointed by the Director of the Office of Management and Budget. So the Office of Management and Budget, an already existing federal agency, is going to create another agency within itself, the Made in America Office. They're going to have to hire people to work in that office, and they're going to have to pay those people a salary, which means that the American taxpayer is going to have to foot the bill. Now, whether it's directly through higher taxes, as it probably will be with Biden, or whether it's the government funding itself by printing more money, either way, that's going to lower the purchasing power of the American people, and they will have less money to spend. So the government, by definition, cannot create wealth. It can only siphon wealth off from its people. So in creating additional agencies with additional roles and responsibilities, the government is, of course, draining purchasing power from the American people. By passing these laws in order to prop up American business, they are also draining purchasing power from the American people. And in the end, the people who will benefit is their giant corporations that are politically connected, not the small-owned businesses, many of them owned by ethnic minorities, by the way, and low-income people that President Joe Biden is supposedly supposed to be helping. But this isn't even the worst of it. Let's stop looking at the executive order itself and look at Joe Biden's administration's official statement regarding this whole executive order. Give me just a second to get the other pulled up here. Okay, so President Biden to sign executive order strengthening Buy American provisions, ensuring future of America is made in America by all of America's workers. Now, this is the official, the other document we were just looking at, and I'll post the links to these on my website as soon as we're done, was the actual text of the executive order itself. This is President Biden and Vice President Harris's administration statement about the executive order and what it hopes to achieve. You can read the whole thing yourself. I've already skimmed over it, and what I thought was interesting is what it says at the end here. Supporting America's workers through federal purchasing. This order is deeply intertwined with the president's commitment to invest in American manufacturing, including clean energy and critical supply chains, grow good-paying union jobs, and advance racial equality. The federal government should buy from suppliers that are growing the sectors of the future and treating their workers with dignity and respect. The president remains committed to working with partners and allies to modernize international trade rules, including those related to the government procurement, to make sure all countries can use their taxpayer dollars to spur investment in their own countries. Focus in specifically on this part. To advance racial equality. Joe Biden is saying not only is the federal government going to work harder to purchase from American businesses, they're going to work hard to purchase from American businesses that advance racial equality, clean energy, and all these other leftist causes. They're going to purchase exclusively, well, not necessarily exclusively, but primarily from American businesses that are producing certain left-wing causes. So this isn't just solely about helping American businesses per se. It's about helping American businesses that are getting in line with certain leftist political agendas, which of course means that if you are a Trump supporter who owns a business, odds are your business is going to be hurt by Joe Biden's executive order. He's not going to do business with you. He's going to do business with businesses that support his political agenda. So make America, buy American laws, made in American laws, make America great again, call it whatever you will. The government, by definition, cannot help American businesses. It can only prop up certain businesses at the expense of other ones, and those usually end up being the politically connected businesses that are run by billionaires that the American left loves to crap all over so much. This is no different than Donald Trump's tariffs. It shows yet again, Republicans and Democrats at the end of the day are cut from the same cloth. Government cannot help the American people. It can only enrich some of them at the expense of others. And the Biden administration is fundamentally no different than the Trump administration from an economic standpoint. Now, from social policy standpoints, are there going to be some pretty important differences? Yes. But the economy is still in the crapper, and it's going to be in the crapper for quite some time. Before we end this stream, let me take a look through the comments, see if anyone has anything profound to say here. Mikhail the Stray Cat, government does not actually produce or create anything. That is absolutely correct. If people were voluntarily giving money to the government to produce a good or service they wanted, then they would be producing wealth, but of course they wouldn't be government then. They would just be a private business. By definition, because government obtains its wealth not through peaceful transaction, but by taking its citizens' wealth by force, it cannot create or produce anything of value. It can only siphon off wealth, and enrich certain people at the expense of others. In voluntary transactions where both parties agree to the transaction, they only do so because they both feel they're better off having made the exchange. When you force one party to make an exchange that he otherwise would not have, by definition, you're harming him at the expense of someone else. And I guess no need to make this stream any longer than that. The point's pretty much been made, and looking through the comments here, it seems everybody else gets it. So again, happy Valentine's Day, everyone. And as always, that is my 2 cents. Take it for what it's worth.